Hello! It is day 7, which is the final day of BookTube-A-Thon, and I have yet to pick up a book. But I have an excuse. I was babysitting, and now I'm going to the gym. Yeah, so hopefully I can pick a book up later, and we shall see where I get. Okay, what I said earlier, that's a lie. I did listen to the audiobook of Attachments while I was babysitting. I got at least 5 or 6 more chapters into that book. So yeah, so I am ahead. I'm more ahead than I thought I was. Instead of dedicating my time to reading on Sunday, I went to a brewery with my boyfriend and his family, and this is just some of the footage that I got from being there. Hello everyone. So right now it is about 5:30 p.m. on July 31st, and I am going to be wrapping up my BookTube-A-Thon experience and talking about all that happened, and also going to be doing the day 7 challenge. During the last week, I read more than I thought was humanly possible for myself. The first book that I read and finished was The Color of Magic by Terry Pratchett, and this book has 287 pages in it. The next book I finished was The #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith, and this book had 233 pages in it. And then the final book that I completely finished is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, and this book has 442 pages in it. So between these 3 books, I was able to complete 5 challenges. So this is the book that I read in one day. This book really made me think of something with like Lord of the Rings. So Rincewind is the name of the wizard, and then Two Flower is the name of like the little humanoid person that wants to go on this adventure, and Rincewind is forced to take him on this adventure, even though he'd just much rather basically rob him and leave him to his own accords, because it's his own fault that they've been put in this situation. But it's just a whole lot of crazy stuff going on, and stuff that you wouldn't think should be happening in this type of adventure story, and like things that you're like, how does this make sense? But then somehow it does make sense, and it's a lot of fun. Like it's what it is. It is a great book. If you're into fantasy, if you're into adventure books, I would highly recommend this. City of Bones covers the challenge that has a person on the cover, and I also changed this book over to be the hyped book that I read. Now, I know that this book is not hyped in 2017, but I did not know that this book existed until 2017. And from watching all the different videos that I've seen on BookTube, a lot of people like talk about how much they love the Mortal Instrument series and how much they love Cassandra Clare. And I did really enjoy it. The little, I guess, twist you could say that's in this, like, there were certain points early on in the book that I was like, yes, this is going to happen, and I was like, oh my gosh, how are they going to handle that? But overall, I did really enjoy this book. It did make me think of some elements of like Harry Potter, there being like a bad guy, and then he gets like all these followers, and then it's up to this certain person to vanquish him. So yeah, but I mean, I love Harry Potter, so yes, I did love City of Bones. And then the final book that I finished completing is The #1 Ladies Detective Agency, and this book completes the challenge of reading about a character that's different from yourself. Like I said, Precious is the first and I think only detective, but the first female detective in Botswana. I've never lived in Africa, and I was never the first woman anything. But the main thing that made me pick this book up at the Lifeline Book Festival was the cover. I saw this cover and I was like, oh wow, like these colors are bright, these colors are beautiful, like this book is going to complete those 2 challenges for me. Now, the books that I got to but I didn't finish were Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, and I was able to complete 178 pages of this. The characters, like, I'm still learning to like the characters. There's a really embarrassing thing that's gonna end up happening, and I don't want to read that, but it's gonna happen, and I'm just gonna have to get over the fact that it will happen, and it might ruin somebody's life a little bit, like emotionally, not financially or whatever, but we'll just have to get through it when that point comes. And the final book that I started reading and almost finished, when I say almost, I mean if I dedicated all of Sunday to this book, I would have finished it, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I got to page 283 of this book. Page 268 was the midway point, so I'm a little bit more than halfway through. I'm just going to take it easy now and enjoy reading this book. I feel like I kind of tried to rush myself to read this book because it is such a hefty book. I am really enjoying the story, and I can't wait to see where it goes and what happens with Strange. And so the grand total of pages that I read in all of these books So overall, I think that I had a really good first BookTube-A-Thon. Maybe next year I will choose not to have any books that are over 200 pages. That was a little ambitious of me, but you know, whatever. So the day 7 challenge is to tell a story about like your experience with books, and like what is your most, I guess, like profound experience that you've had, like either with a book or reading or something that's book related. And I'm gonna have to go along the lines of what Ariel talked about in her example, and that is of course Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So this is not my original copy. This is actually a copy that I gave my boyfriend when he first came to visit me. But my father, when I was like 10 years old, he, maybe 11, whenever it came out in the US, however old I was, he got this book for me for Christmas. And being that young, I was like, oh, it's a book. Oh, look at that. It's a chapter book. I'm not that excited about this book, Dad, but thank you for giving it to me. And then maybe like a year later, I decided to pick this book up, and then I haven't put it down since. I have read all of the books in the series multiple times, along with like all the little side books that go with it also. Then to go along with this, my grandmother, who I call Mimi, she took me to see the movie when it came out, and I will always have that experience of going and seeing that with her, because she knew how much that I really liked the book. Yeah, so I'm so glad that like my dad and my grandma were able to help me experience this world of Harry Potter, both in print and in film, and I will never forget those experiences. Yeah, so I'm about to run out of filming time on my camera. So thank you again for following me in this journey, and as you leave my video, I hope you leave with peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, and peace in your heart. Bye.